Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The President of the United Nations, Mr. Guterres, visits Kiev. And during this meeting, Mr. Zelensky makes some statements. And when I read the statements, my first thought was this guy has, I think, a narcissistic personality disorder. Why? Because the first trait, the first symptom that is listed in each and every narcissistic behavioral disorder, personality disorder, is the self-importance. So therefore, I'm going to use the Mayo Clinic site to make a point, and then I will read Mr. Zelensky's statements. I know that the traits, the symptoms, to be diagnosed with a narcissistic personality disorder, you need to have about 4 out of 7, something like that. So, and it matters the intensity, because we all have probably a little bit of feeling of self-importance if we respect ourselves, or we have a high self-esteem. But it doesn't mean that that is, a indicator that we all suffer of for narcissistic personality disorder. So it matters the number and the intensity of each trait. So let's go first with this. And as I said, this comes from Mayo Clinic, which is one of the main clinics in the United States of America, and we have here narcissistic personality disorder, and I'm going to go to symptoms. And here is the first one: have an unreasonably high sense of self-importance and require constant excessive admiration. So this is one that I think will show in the statement. Now, feel that they deserve privileges and special treatment. Well, look how he feels that he is the one who really fights for everybody else, and he should be treated as an important person on this planet. All right, so let's go here. I'm not going to go down here. The only one is the one that really interests me in this article, in this video, and this is his statement that really got me to the first one. The Kiev Independent, March 8, 2023, Zelensky said, "Future of United Nations being decided in Ukraine." Well, have an unreasonably high sense of self-importance and require constant excessive admiration. I don't know about the second part, but the first one, it's right there. Now, this could be a correct statement. Could be a correct statement. From previous statements that Mr. Zelensky made, makes me interpret it in this way and not in the one with reality. All right, after his meeting with UN Secretary General, President Antonio Guterres on March 8, President Zelensky said that the future of the United States, Jesus Christ, United Nations, is now being decided in Ukraine as Kiev, and I'm quoting, defends the goals and principles of the UN Charter. So he thinks that really Ukraine per se is the center of, is the Armageddon right now. And to be honest, and I have no reason to be a weasel, that could be. The problem is that's artificially elevated to that point. And I'm going to tell you why. That was not necessary. What's going on right now in Ukraine was not necessary. This is an artificially inflated war because the prize is not Ukraine. The prize is Russia. It's NATO, United States, wants to take care of those guys over there. And they had to meet in the middle in Ukraine. The problem is one side is a weasel and the other one fights against them far away, because United States and all these courageous group, because courage runs in groups. not in individualism. They fight Russia, but you can't hit them. They punch you, but you can't hit them. That's why they're very courageous. You can say, well, that's smart. Yeah, you can look at it that way. My point is that those guys are courageous versus this coward Russia being alone. But hey, Russia attacked, remember, Ukraine in an unprovoked way. That's how the story goes. We don't have to agree with that. But if we don't agree with that, we're called names. But we don't give a about that one, right? Right. So this is, if you take Ukraine as being the center of the universe nowadays, I will give you an example. So let's say is I and my wife, or my wife and I, okay, and let's say I want to divorce. I don't have a reason, really, I don't really have a reason, or I want to argue with my wife, sometimes it happens when you really want to argue or you want to do something like that. But he doesn't give you a reason. So in order to get to that point where you escalate everything to an explosive argument, yelling or divorce, you're going to start from something like, hey, you didn't turn off the light in the bathroom. And from that's the most important thing. And then from that, you escalate it. Yes, and you didn't close the door. Then yes, and you didn't wash your cup. Yes, and then you came late on Wednesday. Yes, and then you make it, everything from that explodes to something else. Or I can just stay on the light that she left on and make it the most important thing, like Ukraine. That's the most important thing. And because you leave the light, you don't respect me, you're just a sloppy person, you just consume energy and so on, you waste money and so on, and we cannot get ahead in our lives because of you, and it's you, and it's you, and it's you. Therefore, you created from one issue, the lights, a divorce. So here you have Ukraine, and in Ukraine you have something that could have been solved much easier, maybe without even the overthrow of the government of Yanukovych, the, mind you, democratically elected and recognized, or NATO expansion. All these things are, things that could have been stopped. But it seems like they wanted to go to that point where now this is the pinnacle, right here is determined. And indeed, Zelensky says that it is, but his brain is that if he's not helped to kneel those guys, the United Nations will part, because maybe Putin wins, and if Putin wins, then the values of the UN charter was stamped by Russia. Like Russia is the first one and the last one who did such a thing or will do. I mean, Russia just walks in the footsteps of others on the other side, okay? We know that. But again, it's like I've never left the light on in a bathroom before. I did, so, but you didn't make that kind of, and maybe I left not only in the bathroom, I left it in a bedroom too. Okay, so let's see what else we got in this article. So in Kiev, Zelensky and Guterres discussed security issues, the implementation of the Ukrainian peace formula, which is very vague and obviously is one-sided, ways to return thousands of Ukraine, blah, 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 and crimes of aggression according to President's office. Okay, a tribunal. They want the creation of a special tribunal for the Russian crime of aggression. But are a person who defends himself, are those crimes or not? Let's say in the process of defending myself, rape a few women. Is that okay? Let's say someone attacks me, and in the process I'm raping his sister, I don't know, and everybody else over there as a female. Would that be okay or not? And if it's not, then why do you say only this? Aggression. Do you think you didn't do any crimes? Didn't commit anything? I think they both did, because it's almost impossible, and we have information when those POWs were shot in the kneecaps. Remember those ones? The ones who were the prisoners of war, they were shot while were laying down, the 12 or whatever they were, or 10, and the guy who came out shooting. Those are on video, so you can't deny those ones. So, the crimes were not only one-sided, but hey, this is Zelensky. They also reportedly talked about extending the Black Sea. Okay, we don't care about that one. So, according to Guterres, the UN can offer mediation to achieve complete demilitarization of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant occupied by Russian forces. All right. Well, this is it. If you don't help us here, then everything will be done. We are the most important thing, and I'm the greatest and most courageous general that ever lived. That's how he's portrayed here. And we know he's a weasel, and we know that he's a Zoolander. You remember that movie, the comedy with Ben Stiller, another Zelensky, Zoolander? Look at his pictures. Whenever he is pictured, and he's never pictured like a... no, he's always... No, that's how he is. But anyway, I understand that. But all this is a farce. Remember when Biden showed up in Kiev, 2-3 weeks ago, on the 20 whatever? Remember that one? Remember when the video starts, and when the video starts, then it starts walking, and the siren starts wailing. Well. Do you think that Biden would have? Do you think that the United States would have allowed Biden to show up in a war zone where there could be an attack? Do you think that if with another, that would never happen? But anyway, that was another. Now, 3, 2, 1, click. Let's go. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.